Hey everyone, and welcome back to Robbie's Backstage Bants. Today I have the wonderful Ben Joyce with me. Would you like to say a bit about who you are and what you do?
Hello. Yes, Ben Joyce here. I am an actor. I'm currently in Back to the Future, the musical, and I play Marty McFly. And that's a little bit about me.
So exciting! What a role! Now, obviously, you are a performer in the West End right now. So this is a
Uh-huh.
really big question, and I ask it to everyone, and everyone goes, "Oh my God!" What is the journey of how you've got to where you are today?
Oh my God, indeed. Such a big question. First one as well. Um, so how did I get here? So like lots of other people from a young age, I kind of showed interest in singing and performing and acting and the dancing came a little bit later on. But the first thing that I did when I was young was I started singing along to Elvis songs in the car with my granddad and my nana, or my nana and bamper as I call them. Um,
Oh,
so I started doing that when I was about 3 years old, and my parents kind of realized that singing was something I loved to do and was kind of natural to me. And so from a young age, then I was, put into stage schools and amateur productions. And, by the time I was about 15 years old, I'd done so many amateur shows over the years.
fantastic.
And then when it came to leaving school, I decided it was something I wanted to do. And so I went to drama school and did all that. And then I ended up here.
Fantastic. Now, obviously, you went to drama school. In terms of training, where did you go? What did you do?
Yeah, I went to Mount View and I did a 3 year degree course in musical theatre, which I loved. And I made so many amazing friends and learned so much when I was there. It was a hard 3 years, but it was the quickest 3 years ever. It went so fast because I just had the best time.
Oh, brilliant. That is great. Now, before we talk about Back to the Future, which is obviously the main event right now, you
Yeah,
did one of my absolute favorite musicals, which is Jersey Boys.
I did. I
You
did.
were you were insane, I'll tell you that. Um,
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you.
Now Frankie Valli is such a role to play. How did you find that?
It was I wanted to play Frankie Valli since I was about, well, I went to see Jersey Boys for the first time when I was about 12. And it was a birthday present for me. So I went with my parents and my sister, and we went to see it at the Prince Edward. It was back when it was at the Prince Edward, and when Ryan Malloy played Frankie Valli.
Oh,
And I all I remember was just obviously loving it completely. I was just so drawn to this. Not only one, it didn't just ignite the need for me to do this as a career, but it also just took me into another world. My parents said that I was just so fixated the whole time on the show, and I didn't. There wasn't a moment where I kind of turned and it was just completely fixated. So I was from then on, I was like, I must play Frankie Valli one day. I loved all the music. I loved singing it. I was in. I used to gig a lot when before I went to drama school. At the age of about
yeah.
16, I used to gig a lot with a band in South Wales, and we did lots of Jersey Boys, Frankie Valli songs. So it was something that I've always loved. So when the time came for when I was leaving Mount View and I'd got my agent and the audition came in, it was a no brainer. I had to get that job. I had to get it, and the auditions were just so much fun, and I was lucky enough to get it. And so yes, it was a hard role, but it was always a role that I wanted and needed to do.
Absolutely. Was it quite challenging to keep the vocal stamina?
Yeah, it was. Do you know what? Lots of people ask me or assume that playing Frankie was a lot harder than playing Marty, vocally. But I think I found it a lot easier because, even though there was lots of singing, falsetto or singing high in that
Yeah.
like higher register, even though it was all up there. Lots of Frankie's dialogue, and because I was playing a man that was older than me in real, like I was
Yeah.
21 playing this role,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Frankie ages throughout the show. So I was trying to play someone older. The dialogue was a lot lower and a lot more, reserved to what I do as Marty,
Yeah.
which is so high energy, so vocally dynamic. It goes up and down like this. So actually, I think Frankie, singing wise, was actually a lot more easy to navigate because there was that up and down of I can sing here, but I get to lower my voice by coming down and doing the dialogue.
Mm.
Whereas Marty's just like, I'm gonna be singing high and I'm gonna be speaking high as well.
Yeah.
So it's actually, even though it was challenging, this one it sometimes can be a lot more challenging actually.
Yeah, totally. Now, you
Yeah,
did some
for
crazy
sure.
things with Jersey Boys, including West End Live. How was that
Yeah,
experience for you?
so cool because I'd obviously grown up watching West End Lives. When I decided that it was something that I wanted to do as a career,
Mm.
um, I went on and did it at A level. I didn't do A level, I did B Tech, but it was like my A level years.
Yeah,
It was two
yeah, yeah.
years. So, when you're into theatre, and especially coming from South Wales, you're just so obsessed with like everything that's on in London.
Yeah,
You start off as a fan, don't you? So,
yeah.
I'd be watching West End Lives, I'd be watching videos like this, and saying to myself, "Oh God, I wish like I wish I can get on that stage because not only are you doing it in the heart of London's West End and Trafalgar Square,
Mm.
um, or in this heart of London, should we say, um, you're also there with like hundreds, if not thousands. Well, it would be thousands actually, thousands of people who adore it just as much as you.
Mm.
So it really is like a special occasion doing West End Live. It's a very crazy day because
Yeah.
you got to be on that stage, do your sound check the day before, off the stage because you got the next show coming on, and the
Mm.
performance is even more, even faster. And so even though it's kind of over and done with in a blink of an eye, it is the adrenaline's amazing. So
Crazy.
yeah, I loved that. Have you been to West End Live?
I went this year. Yeah,
Oh,
last year,
did you?
not this year.
Uh oh, this year, yeah, I wasn't
2023.
there.
No.
I wasn't there. I had a chest infection, um, but I'd done it. If I hadn't done it, I would have been a bit gutted. But I'd done it with Jersey Boys, so I was like,
Yeah.
if I'm unwell for this year, then so be it. But I was gutted to miss out, obviously. But but you still got the full Back to the Future experience that day
Yes. I
for sure.
I love it. I haven't seen it yet. Don't tell anyone. Um,
Oh, you must come. You must come.
I need to come. I'm thinking of coming into London on Saturday, so maybe I'll go and see it. Who knows? Um, so Back to the Future. What was your audition
Yeah.
for Marty?
It was very it was very different because when I got Frankie, it was one of my first auditions that I'd had out of drama school. So
Mm.
I hadn't had lots of audition experience. So when I was started auditioning again and I was auditioning for Marty, um, the experience was like so totally different to Jersey Boys. Obviously, it's a different show.
Yeah.
It's a different team. It's a different casting team. It's a different experience altogether. So, but it was also a very different role to Frankie. So I was very excited. I was very um, nervous going into it as well because it's such a big role. Like Marty is such an iconic character, not in the film and
Mm.
in the movie franchise, but it also become this, iconic musical theatre character now.
Absolutely.
After it had come out, so it was, and I had big shoes to fill, replacing Ollie Dobson,
Yeah.
and I'd seen the show before I went into it. and I loved it, and I loved Ollie, and I loved Roger. I loved the whole cast and the whole show. So it was big shoes to fill, but
Absolutely.
also it was a challenge. It was a challenge that I really wanted to take on.
Yeah, totally. And you have took it on, and from what I hear, you're absolutely smashing it. So, hey,
I'm really enjoying myself. It's such a fun show, and when you come to see it, I'm sure you'll agree. It's it's such a silly. Well, it's not silly. There are so many moments within the show where the audience can laugh,
yeah.
but there are so many moments in the show where the audience can see the seriousness of the story and the heart of the story.
Mm.
It's you know that yeah, like I said, there's lots of gags and there's lots of funny moments, but the truth of this story and the love that Marty has for his sweetheart back in 1985, Jennifer, the love that he has for his adopted uncle Doc Brown, and the love that Doc has for Marty is like so beautiful to see unravel on stage.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's got a lot of heart to it.
Yeah, absolutely. So were you a fan of the movie before you went for the stage show? Big fan.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I wasn't like I wasn't a huge fan. Like there are fans of this show and this movie who are huge fans who I've been lucky enough to meet, and they are so lovely and so well. You just see the love that they have for this film and show. So I knew the film. I liked the films. I'd grown up watching them, and I loved anything by Robert Zemeckis. Um, so I knew the films very well. I'd seen them all, one, two, and three. And so when I saw that it was coming out, I think I sent it to my friend. Actually, I sent a picture of the poster, being like, "Oh my god, look, they're making a Back to the Future the musical. That's going to be really, really great." And then obviously this was like maybe a year or two before I'd started Jersey Boys. So by the time I'd started Jersey Boys, the show had come to the West End. So
Mm.
I was like, oh, we must go see it. We must go see it. And I went to see it, and I loved it. And I think what I loved most about it is it really has stayed true to the film
Yeah.
for sure. So yeah, I was a fan. I wasn't a mega fan, but I was a fan.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely. As you would be, I love
Yeah, I
it.
mean, who isn't?
Yeah, totally. Now, how did you bring yourself to the role of Marty McFly? Because obviously he's well known through the movie. So how did you bring Ben to
Yeah.
that?
Um, I think one of the main things that I wanted to do or didn't want to do with Marty was to make it like I was doing an impression of Michael J. Fox in the films.
Hmm.
Because as much as there are moments within the show where I like to have little moments that would remind the audience, oh, like there's certain
Yeah,
lines that I like to say very similar to the way that Michael J. Fox would have said it in the film, because the audience go, "Oh my god, that's so great!" It's like when you watch Ollie Nicholas play George McFly.
hmm.
That first line that he does in the kitchen, and he does that iconic laugh. You just want that nod for people to be like, "Oh, that's really great. That's like the film."
Yeah,
So I wanted to do my own version of Marty. I wanted to bring myself to it, but I didn't want it to make it an impression. So I think the best way, not just to go into this role, but to go into any role, is to find pieces of yourself that you can put into it, because I guess that's the best, most truthful way to do it.
hmm.
So I kind of went in with this open. Uh, I just went in very openly to it and found it within the rehearsal process, not doing it before the rehearsal process, because I wouldn't want to go in there and then that might trap me into trying
Yeah.
to do it like the film. Do you know what I mean?
Hmm.
So I think I just went into the rehearsal process trying to find it along the way. Um, so yeah, that helped me a lot.
Absolutely. Yeah. Um, it is a great soundtrack. Like every song in this show is an absolute banger. My favorite is
Yeah, yeah,
Matter of
very
Time
catchy.
though. Yeah.
Matter of Time is your
Yeah.
favorite?
Oh yeah.
Hey, Feb. Really? Okay. Okay.
I on repeat. On repeat.
Yeah,
If you
yeah.
go on my on repeat
Well,
playlist on Spotify, it's there.
it is quite catchy. It is quite catchy. Um, you know that like the very
Mm,
catchy.
I do.
Um, but you know anything written by Glenn Ballard uh can be catchy, and you know obviously Alan Silvestri who wrote the not only the music to the film but also you know did the music for the show because lots of the movie soundtrack is featured a lot in the show.
Yeah.
Um, so him and Glenn Ballard, you know, teamed up and made some absolute bangers. So I think my favorite is Put Your Mind to It. I think I just love it so much. It's so funny in the show because Ollie, who plays George McFly, you just see how hopeless he is in that song. And well, you see the journey that goes on through that song. And I won't ruin it for when you come see it, but
No.
it's that is a banger. That is a banger.
Do you have a favorite song to perform?
Um, I this changes all the time. Changes all the time. When I first started, it was probably only a matter of time because it was kind of like the first song where you get to meet Marty, and I do all these big, you know, high notes in that song.
Yeah.
So I think that was my favorite when I started. But I think now my favorite would be the Power of Love.
Mm.
Power of Love. Just
Yeah.
so rock and roll.
Yeah.
So
Rock
love
and
it.
roll all the way. Do
Yeah.
you find there's similarities between Frankie Valli and Marty McFly, or do you think they're quite
No, none at all.
none?
None at all. I think there may be similarities in Frankie when we first meet him as a 16-year-old.
Yeah.
And, you know, he's like doing that scene with Tommy and the car keys. Because he's young and he's like full of energy and
Yeah.
he's kind of up for anything. And Marty is, you know, young, full of energy and, you know, wants to make it in music like Frankie did as well.
Yeah.
Um,
Absolutely.
so I guess that there's similarities there, but I have to say so different, which I love, obviously.
Brilliant. Yeah, totally. It's really nice to get your teeth into something different.
Yeah,
It would
yeah,
get
yeah.
boring if you played the same sort of guy every time.
Well, I loved playing Frankie, and it was one of my dream roles, and I kind of you know I had come to a point where I was happy with I was I it was like I could put Frankie to bed,
Yeah.
you know.
Sort of time to
I'd
move
done it,
on. Yeah.
and yeah, and so what better challenge than to do something so different like
Yeah.
Marty McFly. So I think that was a big factor in that something to yeah like dig my teeth into, like you said.
Absolutely. Now, you can't go this long without something going wrong. So, do you have any onstage mishaps that just make you giggle every time you think, "Oh God, yeah, I did that"?
So funny. There's so many,
Is there?
and yeah, and I'll talk about more of these in the future because there's too many. Um, I'll tell you a couple because there's
Oh,
so many.
go on, go
There was the first awful one that happened here.
on.
There wasn't that many at um Jersey Boys.
Oh,
More have happened here, but I guess there's like more happening on stage.
yeah.
Technically, um, like okay, so the first one was I there's a part in Johnny Be Good where I jump off the stage with the guitar. And as I jumped, I clipped my foot on there's like these little plastic seashells on the front of the stage.
Oh, yeah.
So as I went to jump, I must have just clipped my foot. And as I was in midair clipping my foot, that obviously made my body go over and I ended up on my head. So I landed like on my head with the guitar. The guitar, all the buttons that were on the guitar came off the guitar. They had to glue them back on. which is a very expensive guitar, can I add? So sorry to the stage management and the props department and all that. So that was really awful because I had the
Oh,
biggest lump on my head, and everyone was so worried that I'd really hurt myself. But I kind of, when you hurt yourself, but you're so full of adrenaline, you can't feel it.
yeah.
So I didn't feel it until after the show, and I was like, "Oh gosh, I've really hurt my head," just because I landed like straight on my head. So that was a really bad one. Uh, and I actually, Matt Lucas.
Yes.
He was in that night. I'll always remember because I was like mortified, like, oh god, he saw me land on my head. Um, so he was in that night when I landed on my head, so I felt like a right idiot.
Oh.
Then another one that happened not long ago is the same song. So I've got some sort of vendetta against Johnny B. Good. I This was more recently. I forgot every single lyric to the song, every single one. I had a brain fart, and it all just disappeared. And I started the song. I did it. Did this all about, and I went way down Louisiana, close to New Orleans. The whole song. The rest of the song was just scatting. I started the second verse. I went, okay, we'll bring this back now. In my told someday you will be a man, and then it went again, and
Oh,
I forgot all the words, every single word. And as soon as you forget one,
you
the
have to
rest just
go.
disappears.
Yeah.
So those are the two worst mishaps personally.
Oh,
But there are plenty more
plenty more. I'm
that have
sure we'll all
happened.
hear about.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. With all, and especially with like very tech heavy show. So
Yes, it is.
we do get show stops now and again, which is obviously not fun for the audience, or us.
No.
My call for warm up.
Ah,
Um,
there we
it's
go.
okay. It's all right. So yeah, plenty of mishaps. Plenty of mishaps.
Well, I've got one final question for you, and this is the
Yeah.
big one. Why should people come and see Back to the Future?
I think people should come see Back to the Future because um, it is such an iconic film, and people love the film so much. Lots of people were very worried when they heard that their favorite film was being turned into a musical.
Yes.
How will they turn this into a musical? With like the car and all that. Um, but it really is nostalgia, and if you love the films, you'll come and see the show, and you will feel like you did the first time you saw the movie. It's full of love, it's full of laughs, it's full of good music, and you will leave with a smile on your face. So, what better reason than to come and see a show than to leave feeling better than you did coming in?
Yeah, that is a very good reason. Now, I'll leave a little ticket link in the description so anyone can go and grab some
Sweet.
now. I think I might have to do some of
Yes,
that too.
grab them all.
Get them and go. But aside from that, I just want to thank you for joining me. It's been an absolute pleasure
Not
getting
at all.
to know you.
Thank you for having me, and thanks for chatting. I've had a really lovely time.
Me too. Thank you so much. And I want to thank everyone for watching this episode. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Go follow the socials. Everything's going to be down there in the description. I'll do all that later. And I'll see you on the next episode. Thanks so much, Ben. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye bye.